Good morning and welcome to the live series Straight Off the Bat. Join us on Thursdays as we speak to individuals across multiple industries who will help you understand financial literacy and education. If you're joining us on Facebook, thank you so much for doing that today. Don't forget to like and follow our page to continue seeing content and help you manage your money. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and today we're discussing women in technology. Our guests today are Jayme Hoyte and Rissa Fridy. Jayme is the SVP of Business Development at SmartTerm Limited. Under her leadership, SmartTerm's education management system has been implemented as a national solution in all schools across the country. And Rissa is joining us today from ANSA Bank. She is a Data and Reporting Analyst. She's relentless about utilizing her experience in data management wizardry to contribute towards bringing the digital bank's vision to life. So let's bring in the ladies today with estrogen. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, morning.
All right, so we're gonna get straight into it because usually on these live sessions, folks think that 60 minutes is a lot, but we usually choose people who are very passionate about what they do. So we're just gonna get straight into it, and let's talk to Jayme, because within the educational sector, we want to talk about the impact of technology. So give us a little insight on that.
Yes, good morning again, Pauline and Rissa. And thank you so very much for having me on this program, as we continue to celebrate International Women's Day on this very important topic of women in technology. So with SmartTerm, I've been with SmartTerm for a little over 8 years or so, and I've seen how the product has grown, the quality from then till now. And, I'm really proud of the team that is driving the technology throughout schools in the Caribbean region. SmartTerm is a comprehensive education management system, and it is designed to streamline administrative tasks, enhance communication, and improve learning outcomes across the Caribbean region. In terms of the impact throughout the Caribbean, it has been tremendous thus far. And, we are proud to say that we're operating in 14 territories, with St. Vincent and the Grenadines, having a full national rollout of our solution. So that's something, we are pretty proud about at SmartTerm.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of work. So we're going to get into that a little bit later.
Yeah,
but I want to ask Rissa a little bit about her experience, because she's been at ANSA Bank, and we're shifting a little bit from education to the financial space, and we want to just ask the difficult questions. What has it been like being a woman in the tech space, in the banking sector in Trinidad and Tobago?
It has been very... hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me. Right, so I am Rissa Fridy, and I have been at ANSA Bank in the banking sector for 3 years now. It has been very eye-opening and an eye-opening experience. I have worked in previous industries, and this has been my first time in the banking industry, and I must say it's very fast-paced. It is something that is somewhat demanding. I mean, the banking sector is a 24/7 industry. And yeah, I must say that while I have been at ANSA Bank as a woman, I do feel my voice has been heard. I have been able to make some key decisions. I have been in rooms that years ago women would not have been invited to. And I must say that being in the banking industry, it really has opened my eyes.
Thank you for that, especially referencing how the space is 24/7, because a lot of folks get up in arms when things don't work, but the reality is we're shifting now from a traditional space to expecting things to work all the time, and that's a whole other story altogether. So I want to shift over back to Jayme and talk about technology within the educational space, because it's difficult for a lot of parents to understand what's happening while your children are basically moving along without you. I have a friend, her kid is no more than 4 years old, and mommy, I want to play this song by Patrice Roberts, and she's like she knows how to access the fast phone and access YouTube and start to dance away. So when it comes to the importance of technology within the educational space, what has been your experience and why do you think it's important?
Off the bat, I would say technology in education is extremely, extremely important. Because when you look at how the economy is set up, education is deeply intertwined with, the economy and the education ecosystem. So that's like the governments, the principals, the teachers, students, as well as parents are all a part of that ecosystem. And, education serves as the cornerstone for economic progress. So, it equips individuals with the skills, knowledge, that is needed to drive innovation, productivity, and sustainable growth of the economy. So, a lot of the things that we did long ago, it is not applicable within the current classroom today. We would have gone through the education system here in the Caribbean, and we would have seen, it's just one teacher to 30 students, So as innovation and technology evolves, we have to move with the times. We have to be able to integrate technology within the classroom to make things a lot more efficient for principals and for teachers, as well as to bridge that gap between parents and teachers, because sometimes a lot of the time what happens in the school system is that we have the PTA meetings. Most parents in some schools don't even show up for these PTA meetings, but if you have technology that can really push notifications and send information directly to the parents' phone or directly to the parents' email, you'd find a lot more engagement coming from the parents. And one of the reasons that technology is so important and why we decide to take a lifelong journey on this path is because when you look at education, there's a lack of personalized learning. Also there's a lack of data and decision making. So what we are able to do with the technology is provide governments with a platform or dashboard with the relevant information that they can have in real time. So like now, governments in the Caribbean are taking like 18 months to compile that data. We're saying, no, you need this information in real time to make education related decisions. And, there's just a lack of innovation within the classroom. We would go to school from 8 a.m. and come home at 2 p.m., 2:30, thereabouts. And learning kind of stops. Sometimes teacher issue homework or there's no homework, but the only time you really up to that teacher is at 8 a.m. The next day. With a platform, with technology, students can go in, they can learn different things. There's resources, the teachers can put work there within the platform for the student, and it's a continuous learning. And again, parents are loving the system as well because they can get involved as well.
It sounds great for parents, especially when you have to sit out in 2 hours of traffic. It's very difficult and you have all these things to manage. And I want to shift over to Rissa to have, shifting the conversation about why it's important for women to be part of those decisions. Because you mentioned earlier, you've been able to sit down in rooms where previously before, let's be honest, we only got to be able to vote. Our parents know what it was like back then. So at the end of the day, why do you think, Rissa, it's important to have women in these rooms to be part of the decision making?
I think it's important because generally women bring a completely different perspective to things.
Yeah.
Women have had different experiences from men in the working sector. Well, in work in general. I do believe that women know how to balance many things on their plates. And I do believe that once we are in these rooms, and it's important also that once we're in those rooms, that other women can see us and that will empower them, which is what this whole thing is about. And it gives young girls an opportunity to see us, to see, okay, I'm seeing this person in this room making these decisions, contributing to this meeting, contributing to these ideas, and their voice is being heard. These ideas are being come to pass, right? Are being implemented. So then maybe I can do it also. So I think it really is important that the doors are open to us, because then it helps all the young girls that are coming up. Yeah.
The live series Straight Off the Bat. Join us on Thursdays as we speak to individuals across multiple industries who will help you understand financial literacy and education. If you join us from YouTube, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and follow our page to continue seeing content that will help you manage your money. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and today we're discussing women in technology. So we have today Jayme. She is from SmartTerm Limited, as well as Rissa. She is from ANSA Bank. So we would have had discussions earlier about, the spaces that they're in and the impact that is being had within the banking as well as the educational sector. But I want to continue the conversation with Rissa about the challenges that you'll face in the tech space when it comes to being a woman, because the reality is, if you look around and then no one looks like you, you will feel awkward. So if you could mention, some of the challenges that you would have experienced.
Some of the challenges. Now, I know it. To be honest, I have not had any challenges where I currently work at ANSA Bank, but I would like to mention that something that stuck to me at last BATT conference last week Friday, where Raquel Moses, she gave a wonderful speech, and she made us all aware that while I'm not seeing it where I am, that there is a gap. There is a gap in the banking industry where women are not being treated equally, whether it is they're getting equal opportunities or equal pay. The gap is still there. And something that she said really stuck to me, where we cannot bridge that gap, right? Or the gap would not be bridged only until 180 years. And that is what studies showed. 180 years it will take for us to bridge this gap between men and women in the working environment, in the workplace. And I think this is something that is very serious and that we need to have more conversations about, because until we work adamantly on bridging that gap, women would not be welcomed, or they wouldn't feel confident. They wouldn't feel confident in when they're applying for a role to confidently ask, as what Ms. Hoyte said earlier, to confidently ask for a particular salary, to be confident in themselves, to be assertive. And this is, to me, this is the biggest challenge right now.
I like the point where you spoke about, talking about pay, because I don't think it's something, I think it's nurture versus nature conversation, because some things you say, okay, is it nature or is it because the anthropologists will tell you a lot of things are built around society. So we do things that we consider normal because that's the reality. But the the thing is, as women, I want to shift over to Jayme a bit in the educational space. What advice would you give to someone who faces these challenges? Because it's really hard when, even for me, business for 14 years, and I realized after getting exposed to proposals from competing companies that I was undercutting myself by thousands, right? So when it comes to being, I guess, having some level of confidence in yourself, any advice on that, Jayme?
Yeah, I think if I had to touch on challenges as well, I would say like coming into the technology space, understanding some of the terminologies and the fancy words they would use, software engineer and all these different skills. Just understanding the landscape in terms of how you communicate, how you understand people in the space and how to communicate back to them. I think that has been a big challenge, and I think a solution to that would be like, educating yourself, developing yourself in that way, attending different workshops and training where you can really understand what is happening in the technology landscape. Another thing that is challenges for women in this space too is sometimes, that imposter syndrome, right? Because you are qualified, you are capable, you can do it, but sometimes when you get into this space and, being a male dominated space and you're one of two women in that space, it can be a bit intimidating, it can be, that imposter syndrome will set in and you doubt yourself, so I would say just motivate yourself, try to elevate yourself again through the education and learning. I think that's the best way. Knowledge is the killer of uncertainty, and you'll be fine, you'll do well. You show up as your true self and don't be afraid to speak out.
Yeah, education really is one of the best solutions for just about everything. I want to shout out to Kevin Pascal to saying hi, Jay. I think Jay is Jayme.
Hi, Kevin.
You have a superpower. All right, so we don't want this to just be a doom and gloom of all the things that isn't possible. We want to talk about the opportunities, right? Because we have to be honest, and technology is giving us opportunities that didn't exist before. I actually live next to a highway and I see people sitting down in hours, like 2-hour traffic. And I am forever grateful that I am in a tech space, that I can roll out of my bed, come in front of my camera in my living room and have this conversation with you.
Yes.
So when it comes to opportunities, I want you guys to share from the different industries, banking and education. So who wants to go first?
I can go first. I think it's amazing opportunity at this time for women to even, want to get into education, technology in general. You said it right. Working remote has its advantages, it has its perks. I'm a fan of working remote, so I'm happy about that. But in terms of women getting into the education technology space, I think they can take up some space in leadership and management, leading strategic initiative and driving innovation, promoting inclusivity and advocating for technology in education, not only the technology, but also advocating for other women to be a part of this industry. And then, there's research and innovation, which is a massive field. We're always looking for growth and development. Companies are always looking for that. And, women have the opportunity to conduct groundbreaking research and develop new approaches in learning and teaching. And lastly, I will say on the content side and, curriculum development, there's always room for women to be a part of creating engaging digital content for diverse learners. Actually, I would say here that we are actually launching a new product, which is a content piece to our education management system called Tamarind Learning. And this platform is software that helps the schools, help students for test prep. So things like CXC, SEA, CPA, PEP, can all be done on the platform, and it prepares them for the exam. And being a woman in technology and also being in the business development side, I really get to see like the back end and get my hands dirty on that side. But yesterday, it was all hands on deck, and I had to do some data entry. So, you have to be flexible in this field as well. You can be called at any time to assist where it's necessary.
Wow, it sounds really exciting, and I definitely think we need to talk afterwards, because I think there is a space for development and education in so many different parts of the tech space, like content creation, for instance, and it would be amazing to have a platform that you can easily set up on. So that sounds like a great opportunity. So you want to add to that, Rissa, in the banking space?
Well, every day in the IT and in the world of banking, things are evolving, and so is the job market. And I mean, there are many jobs in the banking sector currently, and the beauty is that women can now confidently apply for any job. And one of the things that you guys did mention earlier was working remotely. So I work 100% remotely, and you would not think that we're in the banking sector. And at the conference last week Friday, a lot of the women on my table, they do work remotely, and there is a hybrid situation that has been put in place in their companies, which is extremely beneficial to women, because I mean, in the household, women do a lot, right? We look after our kids, there's homework and hobbies and different activities, and being able to work remote and to have to apply for it gives us a good sense of balance in our life. And as I always say, years ago, you would not think that you can apply for a position in a bank and work in the comfort of your living room or in your home office. So, yeah.
I did grow up with people telling me that women don't support women, we're always against each other, but I'm so grateful that has not been the experience with me. And, sometimes things, get difficult, and being able to have difficult discussions is a sign of the opportunity to grow, not just personally, but within your professional career. So, here we are, proof of that. And, Rissa would have mentioned earlier, being able to have folks support her and put in positions where she's able to now pursue this world in the data space. So, we spoke about people who may be looking at changing their careers and what they can do. But what about companies who, they're hearing this diversity and inclusion conversation? Some people aren't a huge fan of it. Others are like, what is this? How can I be part of this discussion? So do you guys have any advice for companies who may not necessarily, when you don't know, you don't know. You look around and all you see are men. What can a company do? What's the step that they can make to be more inclusive and supportive for women in tech?
I would personally say that companies need to have women in senior and leadership roles, specifically in the banking sector. And by doing so, that will then give any young girl the inspiration to pursue this path, right? As I said, I only considered going into the tech world because of my sister. I saw that she did it. I saw that she was doing it, and that gave me the push to think I can do it. And here I am now. So that's one of the things. They need to have a lot more women in senior roles so that we can then see it. I can give you an example. My department is digital transformation, and the majority of people in my department are in fact women. As a matter of fact, we only have 2 men in our department. We only have 2 men. And it is a good group of women. It is a good team, and we get things done, including the men. So,
yeah. That sounds like a fantastic example. So what about you, Jayme? Because you'd be more in the educational and medium-sized business space.
Yeah, I do think organizations need to really have those discussions, have those tough conversations that nobody wants to discuss, things like underrepresentation. What does that look like for your company, for your organization? What solutions can you, provide to have more representation? What does the gender pay gap looks like? How can we bridge that? How can we have more discussions around that, for women to feel more inclusive? When you look at retention and attrition rate too, you find sometimes women are leaving, the tech industry because it's too hard, it's too male dominant, and it's kind of a tough place for women to be at. But you want to create that space, create that environment, where women can share, and feel like they're not being speaking their truth, as well as not being labeled an emotional wreck or emotional type person, So I think these are some of the things that organization can really improve right now to assist women navigating the tech space.
Ooh, you really triggered me there when you talk about emotional thing, because we think that is such an important discussion. When we talk about being a woman and the difference in how we are treated, for those women who are in the tech space and feel, as you were mentioning, sometimes we are the highest ones to leave. What advice would you give to that person who feels as though it's like, I'm not seeing support, I don't feel like this is going to work out? What's the point even? Any advice for that person?
There's a thing we say in Trinidad, your neighbor's string isn't buried there. Right? Correct. So I would say, Rissa mentioned it too, look at the different fees, look at the different things in tech that you want to be a part, and understand where you can add value the most. And, if it's not working out at this particular organization for a particular reason, feel free to send out more resumes, feel free to get into a space and a place where you would feel more valued, and where you can add more value to that organization.
Agreed. And when you are going to a company, if it is that you're going for an interview, you have to remember that you are also interviewing this company, not just the company interviewing you. And you can ask the specific questions. What is your percentage of women employed in the company? What is the percentage? At ANSA Bank, we have 65% of our staff are women. They are women. So, and a lot of them are in senior positions. Our MD is a woman. Our head of operations is a woman, right? And so you need to go where you will feel more comfortable and that you can see yourself growing, because it's clear if you see things like that in a company, women are not being oppressed. Yeah. So these are the things that you have to look at. A lot of people think that, okay, I really want this job. Let me be quiet. Let me just get in. And then you get when you're unhappy. You're really unhappy. So you need to interview the company also. Be assertive. Be sure of yourself. You know you are bringing value. Be sure of yourself.
Awesome.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I would also add to that, we're now in a space where the world is getting so much smaller. So a lot of international companies are employing internationally. So you can look at, platforms like LinkedIn to see jobs that are remote working. So these are options for women out there, especially when you are managing and balancing so many things in the world. It's very difficult. So I want to thank you so much, Rissa and Jayme, for joining us today and sharing insight into women in technology. This has been a robust conversation, and if you missed any of it, don't forget, you can actually check it out on the replay once the live is over. As always, please be sure to follow and like our page on LinkedIn as well as Facebook so you don't miss a single live show. Thank you so much again for joining us, and I'll see you soon.